Hi, everyone. This is August's question and answer video. Back to, I'll let you look at my face this whole video. Some of you seem to prefer the sort of video blog style as opposed to the time lapse of my work, which I will still do. I'll record once in a while, me working and do the time lapse because I know that's interesting as well. Um, but for this, we'll just do this one-on-one thing. Uh, and so I have a few questions from you guys, so let's dive into those, and I will get you some answers. All right. So first of all, Steven, good old Steven, always great questions. Steven asks, did you go through any alternate color schemes for analog? Um, Not really. No. So I mean, analog and D-pad really from the get-go was red and blue. Player one, player two, blue, red. Um, so that dynamic was kind of baked into the concept from the beginning. And Ethan's look, being all mostly blue in a sort of like very Batman-ish kind of scheme, I guess. Uh, was where he started. And I so he was always blue. Um, and to complement that, it was always like a little bit of gray to for contrast to break up the blue. Um, Never went with anything different. I mean, the belt, yeah. So like his belt is very Batmanish, like a yellow utility belt kind of a thing. It's a little bit of a nod to Batman, I guess, but uh, no, I wouldn't say any major deviations. Like a couple little, like originally I had his sort of broken up with some designs, kind of similar to Lucas's. Like having Lucas, I tried it all red and like just it was just like too much red. Red is one of those colors where, it can overpower. So that's why Lucas's has a little bit more of a design to it. And I had initially done a little bit of that with Ethan's, like some panel lines, some sections that were blocked off. Um, but I ended up for where we ended up going with him. I kind of just liked that all blue, like the one color, uh, sort of monochromatic superhero suit thing for him. I mean, what's neat about doing a like a superhero thing is superheroes often get new costumes or different costumes for different things, and so uh, perhaps in the future I'll get to play with that a little bit. But Ethan's or Analog's classic costume is kind of not changed very much from its inception. All right, so Richard asked, or I mean, I don't know, he didn't really ask. This is more of a statement, but he says, favorite four-player couch game. Go. Um, so I'm gonna answer this authentically because obviously I read this when you posted a couple weeks ago, and I've read it again today. And so, when you say go, it makes me think that you wanted to know the first thing that came into my mind. So I will say, when I read it right after you posted it, you said favorite four-player couch game, and the first thing I thought of was Castle Crashers, which is definitely one of my favorite four-player couch co-ops. I've played it way back when it came out with my buddies, and I've played it more recently with my kids. So I do love that. But so that was like my instinct. That was like my first thing that popped into my head. Um, but I'm also gonna, as a caveat, I'm also gonna throw in um, Mario Party actually, which is and strictly because as a family we've played it a whole bunch. My wife, the kids, we all will do four-player Mario Party, and we have a lot of fun with it. Um, so that gets a mention strictly as uh, I've played it a lot and I've had a lot of fun with it. Not necessarily saying it's like I would rate it as the best co-op game or anything. I mean, it's great. I love Mario Party is always a good time. That just happens to be one that I've played a lot of, so that gets a mention as well. Dicers, Dicers asks if I could please do an office tour. And I feel bad because I think he's been asking this for like 5 years now. It's been a while. At the very least, since I've how long have I been in this office? I've been in this office since 2018, 2019. And I keep promising to do an office tour. The problem um, is I very rarely get my office clean and organized to the point where I feel like I want to show it off. Like my I will sometimes get my office clean, but then I'm like, oh, I want to reorganize some shelves. I want to do a little bit of this. Um, I 100% want to do an office tour. It's just it's always like I'm always in like I've just got stuff piled up. Like there's like my stations are just I don't know. It's chaotic, and I would like for the office tour to be representative of how I view my office in my head and not how it actually exists 99% of the time, I guess. Um and so perhaps it's just unrealistic. So what I might have to do is sort of uh just accept that that there's a state it exists in, and the best I can do is perhaps remove any personal information that might be lying around or whatever, and then just give you a quick tour and accept the fact that my office is just it is generally in a state of chaos. So um, I promise that I haven't forgotten about the idea, and at some point, because I'd like to take you around, and but I would just like I would like to split that with also showing it in its best state, I guess. So I will work on it, Dicers. I apologize that I've still not done that. Okay, RivCA asks, will Monster Hunter still be on rotation when 6 drops, or have you moved away from the franchise? Monster Hunter is always going to be on the rotation. Monster Hunter is one of those games that it's one of those franchises that uh, I can just play. I can play over and over again. Now, I not a single game. Like I can't just play a single game forever. Every single Monster Hunter game for me has this threshold that I reach somewhere around 100 hours or so. 80 to 100 hours where it starts to where it's like okay, I have hunted every monster. I have crafted all of the armor and the weapons that I want. Um I could keep going like and do every little thing, but it starts to kind of fall off for me. Um, so that happens in every Monster Hunter game, but that never deters me from the next Monster Hunter game because I stop playing a Monster Hunter game, and then there's months, a year, whatever, and then the next one drops, and I'm by that point I'm recharged and I'm ready to go because I love the core Monster Hunter loop, and B, I love playing it with my friends. It's one of those ones we just know. New monster new Monster Hunter coming out. We're coming together for co-op, and we're gonna it's sort of unspoken at this point. We all just know it's gonna happen. So no, Monster Hunter 6 or whatever they call it, whatever they number it, uh, will 100% be on the rotation. I don't see honestly at this point I don't see Monster Hunter ever kind of falling out of favor with me. All right, and finally this month, Alex. Alex wants to know, are the kids able to handle all necessary tasks needed to let the axolotl have a good life? So, if you're familiar, we do have an axolotl. His name is Sushi. His or her, actually, we honestly don't. The axolotl is too young to accurately sex it. Typically, they need to be about a year, uh, at which point I can take a picture and bring it to people who know much better than I do, and they'll be able to tell me if it's a boy or a girl. We just refer to him as a he for now, but we don't actually know. Anyway, Sushi is our axolotl, um, which we got this past spring. It is technically my oldest son, is obsessed with axolotls. It's his axolotl. Um, is he able to do all of the tasks to take care of this pet? Honestly, no. And we knew that. I knew that going in. I did a ton of research about axolotls, way like leading up from you know from like he loves this. He loves these creatures. To like you can have these creatures as a pet, and it's like, do we want to have one as a pet? Like, what does that look like? And so we did a ton of research, and so I knew what I was getting into. But there are he can do a lot. He's 9. He'll be 10 later this year, and he can do a lot of it. But he can't do all of it. So he does the water tests, which is basically the chemistry of maintaining the ammonia level, monitoring the ammonia levels, the nitrates, and the nitrites. Um, so when you set up an aquarium, you get a cycle going. It's the what do you call it, like the nitrate cycle, uh, wherein because animals produce waste, which creates ammonia, which is toxic to most aquatic life. Uh, so the waste produces ammonia, so you need a certain bacteria that is going to eat the ammonia and turn that ammonia into nitrites. And then you have a different bacteria which eats the nitrites and turns that into nitrates. uh, and then the nitrates are managed just by weekly water changes. So my son can do, he knows how to do the chemical tests on the water to make sure that all the levels are staying right where they need to be. We manage like I said, we manage the nitrates by doing weekly water changes. That he can't do because we're talking about, it's a 40-gallon tank, and so we suction out 5-gallon buckets at a time. That weighs a lot. He can't carry a 5-gallon bucket of water. Um, so I mostly end up handling that side of things. Cleaning the tank, we do that together. Uh, Feeding, we also do that together. So uh, the axolotl eats earthworms, so he'll go get the earthworm. We have a little worm farm. He'll get the worm, clean it off. I will cut it up, and then one or both of us will uh, feed it to the axolotl. Sushi also eats carnivorous pellets, which are like little pellets made for axolotls that contain brine shrimp and all sorts of other stuff. Uh, so my son can do uh, a lot of it, all of it. And like I said, we knew that. I knew that going in. I knew that in order for him to have this, it was going to be a lot of his responsibility, and it is remembering to do certain things and staying on top of things. But he can't do it alone. He needs my help. So it's a joint effort. It's but it's fine. But it's fine. Like I like going to the aquarium. I like watching fish. I never fish tank that big into it. I wouldn't have done it on my own. Favorite animal. Very often you have a favorite animal that is impossible to own. My favorite animal is a koala. I can't own a koala. I can't have a, you know what I mean? I can't have a koala. So the possibility of letting him have his favorite animal in his life as a pet was worth, doing the little bit extra. So it is, but it is like I said, there's a lot to it. They're not maintenance free animals. There's a bit to it. I wouldn't say they're the worst, but you got to keep up. They want very specific conditions. They want their water has to be kept cold. There's a lot of things that made sure we knew what we were getting into. Um, so yeah, so to sum up, he does a lot, but he can't do all. All right, and that is it for August. Thank you guys for the questions. Again, if I didn't get to your questions, what I'm doing is if I don't pick your question, I'm just adding it to a spreadsheet, just in case in a future month, you guys don't ask me anything, and I need to pull some old ones from an archive. So just ask the questions, and I will get to them all eventually, whether or not they get picked for that specific month. I will eventually, hopefully, answer all of the questions. Um, and thank you guys for your support. Thank you as always. I don't know if you get tired of hearing it. If you do, I apologize, but I have to. I have to say thank you because you guys are making it happen. Uh, honestly, I get to keep doing this because of you. So I appreciate it. I hope you all had a wonderful summer and a great start to your fall.